The volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, known as VUCA world, has definitely made it hard to anticipate the challenges that will be facing businesses in the future. With an unpredictable business landscape, super-informed customers, and super-empowered employees, the tried and tested business strategies are no longer valid for today's business challenges. The future holds challenges that are unprecedentedly different. They are known to be human challenges and so require a human-centric approach to be solved. Sustain Leadership Consultancy is a tailored solutions partner with its gaze turned toward the future. Through our SEEDS model, we focus on creating people-centric strategies that will have a lasting positive impact on the organization. We work with our clients to identify disruptive solutions to their challenges, design unique customer experiences, while creating engaging workplaces for their most valuable resource, their teams. The idea behind our approach is simple. We believe that the best and most successful businesses are both human-centered and long-sighted. After all, a business culture isn't defined by its products or services, but by the people who innovate, imagine, and create for its sake. As a networked organization, we draw upon and integrate talent of recognized leaders in their fields to customize the right team for the right project. Our portfolio of 50-plus consultants have been serving happy customers in the Middle East, Europe, and Africa for more than 15 years, working with major corporations, governmental and financial institutions, NGOs, as well as SMEs. Our promise to our clients: your teams will demonstrate stronger dynamics and will be aligned around a shared vision. Your leaders will elicit entrepreneurial activity and create a culture conducive to innovation. Your organization will achieve its aspirational strategic goals and build lasting capabilities for sustainable transformations. No matter what your industry, size, or vision, we work closely with you to help you sustain your leadership and remain relevant in an ever-changing landscape. Get in touch with us and find out how you can reinvent your business model and transform into a human-centric, sustainable organization.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another webinar from Sustain Leadership webinar series. I'm really excited to have with us today Mahmoud, who will be talking to us about an exciting topic that I'm personally curious about. Mahmoud Mansi is, I don't know, I lost count of how many times he was a TEDx speaker. I think he was 7, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes, so 7 times TEDx speakers globally, not just in Egypt. I think Egypt, other countries in India as well, so in Asia, Middle East, and North Africa. He is the founder of HR Revolution magazine, which is an insightful magazine about everything related to human resource management and human resource development. To me, he's an HR expert. He's a reference for me personally. He's an HR mentor, an advisor, a consultant on everything related to human resources, from organizational development to learning to employee engagement, which is the topic that we will be talking about today. So welcome, Mahmoud, and thank you for accepting to be part of our guests. Mahmoud, the phrase employee engagement, I think that it has become more of like a buzzword in the past few years. And I feel that all companies, all HR directors and HR departments have been placing an increasing amount of importance on employee engagement. But I feel that it's not really just a buzzword. It's more than that, because we cannot deny that a highly engaged workforce is really, we could say, is worth its weight in gold, as they say. And some research, I took a number from some research that I found on the internet, that 94% of the world's most admired companies believe that their efforts to engage their employees have helped to create a competitive advantage. I mean, they have affirmed that, but we don't know to what extent this can be measurable. However, what you're bringing us today is beyond the common understanding of employee engagement, which we tend to think that it's more about the emotional engagement, the social engagement that is more done through all the events and the incentives and the motivation, the team building, and all of that. So I'm really excited to find out more about this model of yours, where you you look at employee engagement beyond what most of us understand from it. So it's
Thank
over to
you.
you.
Yes, thank you, Hanan, so much for this. Thank you, Suhail. Thank you for sustain and for the excellent introduction. Yes, there are many buzzwords in human resources, and every couple of years there are new trends in HR. Sometimes we follow those trends, but sometimes we follow them without digging deeper. So employee engagement, as you said, indeed, it is a very important topic, and it actually was proven that it caused retaining employees, increased motivation, increased productivity at work on an emotional level, I would love to say. I started thinking about unemployment from three perspectives. I thought about unemployment from the economics perspective. I thought about it from the HR perspective and from the human capital perspective. From the economics perspective, simply unemployment are people who cannot find a job or who are actually unemployed. From a human resources perspective, it's about the right person in the right place. If you're not in the right place, then there's something not right about the process. From a human capital perspective, you could be the right person in the right place and the right time and everything, but how many of your talents are you utilizing at your workplace? How much percent are you using into benefiting the community you are in? Are you utilizing all of your talents? Are you utilizing all of your ideas? Are you utilizing all of your gifts and skills? Or are you just sticking and you feel that the job description is limiting you? So from here, I started thinking about, ask myself as a consultant, what about engaging the employees intellectually so we can utilize their talent, utilize their input, and therefore take engagement into a higher level? From your experience, Hanan, you might have worked with many clients who and many people as a coach as well, who were not satisfied from their job, who were not satisfied from the management, from the team. And you can share with me what are three, for example, reasons why people leave work, and we can relate that to engagement.
So I was on mute. Yeah, I was saying that as you were started asking that question, started thinking actually the majority complain about not being satisfied from the job, and many of the reasons were not particularly like pay reason or salary reasons. They leave their job because they don't feel that they are trusted. They don't feel that they are contributing to the decision making or to the outcome of the company, or that their knowledge or their ideas are really valued. They feel that they're executing orders and they don't really feel that their purpose and their values are aligned with the corporate culture, if you will. So these are the main reasons that I come across if I want to look at patterns.
That's very good. That's very good. So a big part of what you said is actually intellectual engagement and emotional engagement as well. So yes, people leave companies because they don't feel that their voices are heard. They don't feel that their opinions and their ideas are being implemented or being even considered. Some they don't feel that they are bigger, that they are bigger than the job they're already in. They can do more. And another reason, and you can very much relate to this, Hanan, since you're also into entrepreneurship, people now are very multi-talented. So you can be very talented in human resources. At the same time, you can be very, very talented in sales, business development, and marketing, and so on. So here comes a conflict. People say, I want to shift my career. Am I good at marketing? Am I good at human resources? Am I good at social media? Am I good at public relations? And they start having these conflicts and ask themselves their questions. Why am I here? What should I actually do? While actually in agile organizations, you can do everything right now. You can work, you can tailor your own job description or craft your own job description, as the terminology is, into what you're actually capable and passionate about. So part of the engagement is using all of these talents to utilize them into serving yourself first as a person, so I can feel completely fulfilled that I'm actually utilizing all of my talents, and serving the community and beyond. So if we go to this model, it is actually published in my book, Sustaining a 360-degree Agile Workplace. First, I started by the emotional engagement, which is, I related it somehow to the culture of the organization. Because without emotional engagement, you can never be engaged in anything else. You have first to be emotionally engaged. This is the first and one of the most difficult steps, which is actually businesses today are relying on emotional engagement. But emotional engagement is not the destination. That's what I want to say. Emotional engagement is where we should start from, but we should not stop at emotional engagement. We can go beyond that. Emotional engagement can open many doors and unlock many opportunities for us as leaders in the organization. Emotional engagement. Yes, please.
Sorry, Mahmoud. Sorry to interrupt you. And also, apologies, I didn't mention that Mahmoud is also an author. He is a published author with a few books. Some are about personal life matters, and others are about HR and organizational development. What I hear you saying, it was interesting when you said emotional engagement is not a destination. So if I understood right, you mean that is used more as a tool for a different, because when you are engaging employees emotionally, you are creating that safety cushion for them to probably express and talk about their passions and what they can do and the roles that they can excel at, especially that we are moving now from what we call a lifetime career. I think decades ago, somebody would study a subject, get a job as a beginner in that same subject, and continue working and climbing the ladder in the same role, whichever opportunities he or she will have to climb the ladder until they retire. But today, this is changing. What I hear you say is that now we have that mobility where the talent can use, just because you're in sales does not mean that you can only work in sales until you retire. But to be able to understand what kind of talent the employees have, I think you need that emotional engagement to create that safety first. Is that what I understood is right?
Absolutely. Absolutely correct. So when employees are emotionally engaged, they start, trusting the organization. And trust comes from relationships between employees and their co-workers and their team members, a relationship with their manager, relationship with the HR department, a relationship with the work itself, and with the client. It could be with the client as well. So because emotions are involved from relationships, we're affected with dealing with the people around us, and we start building trust by that. And here comes when trust increases, self-trust increases as well. So this provides more safety and confidence for the employee, so that they could be able to speak out their opinion. If they're unsatisfied from something, they can talk about it. We give them this space and comfort to do that. So after the emotional engagement, which is also, I would say, once again, called cultural engagement, the next step would be strategic engagement. Usually, when the annual plan is set ahead, and on the strategy of the organization or a department is settled, it's settled by who? The board of directors, the top management team, right?
Yes.
In very few cases, employees were involved in this. And if they were involved, only few employees as perhaps focus groups or a survey, and that's it, if they were involved. So again, some people communicate employee engagement as people should be informed with the strategy. But I would say employee engagement is people should join the team and build the strategy together, not being informed by the strategy. But we can use them as internal consultants. So if we are using in the project management the RACI chart, they shouldn't be informed. Usually employee engagement just inform them with the strategy, inform them with the plan, and they are doers. They're just here to implement. No, I want to consult them. I want to put them from the informed zone to the consulted zone in my RACI chart. So how can I do that? There are, of course, different techniques, and it all depends, once again, if we go one step back, on the culture of the organization. Are they involved virtually? Do we create workshops? Do we create brainstorming sessions? Do we create a collaborative SWOT analysis? If you do that as an exercise, if you bring, for example, marketing manager, and you ask him or her, create your own SWOT analysis for your own department. And then separately, if you bring the team, the entire team of the marketing people with the different units, and ask them collaboratively to create a SWOT analysis, it will be totally different than what the manager is doing. And here comes the gap between management and between what actually happens in real life. So that's why intellectual and strategic engagement is very vital, so that we can understand this gap, assure if the manager is on the same page as his or her team or not, and bring more ideas, a more collaborative approach, a 360 vision, not only the vision of the people who are at the top level of management, no, but the vision of everyone. So as an employee, if I am engaged in building the strategy, this gives me more loyalty. This provides me with more leadership skills. It could be a part of my succession planning. One day, if I'm going to be a manager, I'm already involved in the process. So it has several benefits. And then if we go to the third step, which is engagement in decision making. So instead of I as a manager, for example, if we're putting this as an example, instead of making a decision on my own, I can engage my people into creating the decision together, because they already know the strategy. They already put the strategy and the annual plan with me. They're already aware of everything going on beyond their job description. So I can engage them into making a decision. I can create different scenarios, solution A and B and C, and ask them, let us analyze every solution together. And then ask them once again, do you have a fourth solution? Do you have a fifth solution that we can discuss? And then we start brainstorming together and creating a collaborative decision as well. This gives them confidence, empowerment, and the risk of making a decision on my own is eliminated. Risk is divided on everyone right now, and the decision is not only from one perspective, the decision will be wiser and will be more comprehensive.
Totally. I agree with you, Mahmoud, especially if we're looking at the times that we are going through and that we've gone through. I mean, in addition to the digital disruption that was already creating a lot of issues in the employee engagement and in managing talent, it's crucial today because companies who want to really sustain and remain relevant and remain in the market need to be competitive and innovative. And what better ways to be innovative than tapping into the collective intelligence of your own people? And then to do that, you need to have this kind of engagement. It makes a lot of sense as you speak about it that it is the way forward. And thank you, William. William participated in chat and said, good communication is key. Absolutely. It all starts with
Yes,
communication,
yes,
but an open communication, because a lot of companies believe that telling somebody top down is communicating, but that's not really communicating. That's just one way information. That's so it's really about effective and good communication. Mahmoud, this brings me to a question. We might be talking about this, and some people might be thinking, okay, but this sounds more like it's a concept, it's a philosophy, it's probably more theoretical. How can we measure an ROI or return on investment on a model like this? How me as an employer could be convinced that I need to invest time and probably maybe money to implement a model like that? But is it something that we can measure tangibly? We can measure that return or that impact from your
indeed.
experience working with people. Mhm.
Indeed, indeed. First, we need to set the criteria. What are the KPIs that we're talking about? Are they the amount of people involved, the percentage of people involved and interested in such meetings and brainstorming sessions? Okay, so this could be one KPI. Another KPI could be the sum of ideas that are generated from every session. Are they 5 ideas? Are they 20 ideas? The eligibility of these ideas. Because some ideas we can say, yes, we can start implementing them right away. Some ideas we say, no, we'll keep them for next year. It's part of our future plan, which is also involved in the strategy. And some ideas could be eliminated. No, we're not going to look into them at all. So we can also look up to the efficiency of these ideas. We can look up to the involvement of the team in implementing these new plans, these new initiatives, these new ideas as well. Because we're saying now we should work beyond the job description. So how many people are working and are willing and are enthusiastic to start working beyond their job description? And let me call it volunteering. And they would volunteer in other projects inside the organization. Of course, this should be related to the performance appraiser. This should be related to a reward system as well to compensate all of that. But I'm speaking about their willingness to work beyond their job description. Are they actually do they actually believe that they are multi-talented and they can do more than that, or they just want to stick to the job and just do whatever they have to do in the job description and just go home on time? This is their only concern, for example. They don't care about generating ideas. They don't care about voicing their opinion. So all of these are parameters. And then we start linking all of that on the long term to the accounting sheets of the organization. Is the profit margin increasing or not? Is the satisfaction, client satisfaction, customer satisfaction increasing or not? Are we penetrating new markets or not? Are we keeping the loyalty of our consumers? And then we start creating this and comparing it to previous years that we didn't actually, in the previous years that we didn't apply and utilize the full capacity of our employees. So these are examples. Of course, there is much more to say, but these are examples.
Okay, so it is measurable. Actually, the benefits of it could be tangibly measured by organizations and who want to adopt this and apply this model.
Yes, yes. Let me give you another example, Hanan. Sure. I took I'm a certified Chief Happiness Officer. I took this certification earlier this year. So one of the very interesting examples the instructor was talking about, she was saying that organizations that applied the happiness concepts, the workplace, their prices increased in the stock market than their competitors. So she was looking at the price at the stock market. She was putting this as a KPI as well. So we can go even beyond the accounting sheets into the stock market and more.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Financial performance as well, and of the
Yes.
company. Great, very good.
Yes.
Their growth as well. Interesting. Great. So you're saying that this is a model that could be applied, but is it also, since it is a model, and I see in the diagram that you shared that it's more of like it's like a journey. So can you just walk us through that a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I started by a cultural engagement, and then strategic engagement, and then decision-making engagement, and we stopped there. There's the fourth step, which is engagement towards the product.
Okay.
What do I mean by the product? I mean two things. There are two products.
Okay.
The product of my own department.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm HR, my products are the HR initiatives and so on. If I'm in marketing, my product is the advertising campaigns, the marketing research, and so on. So that's the first product, which is related to what I'm actually doing. And the other product is related to the product of the organization itself. So
Okay.
the idea behind this model is to engage people into developing both products, the product of my own department and the product of the organization itself. Because I'm engaged in the strategy, engaged in the decision making, I'm emotionally willing to take steps forward, so I can actually innovate in the product itself. And here comes the tangible output that impacts the client and the customers, and therefore society and community.
Right. So it really makes the employees, it increases that sense of belonging, rather than working in silos and just say, well, I'm only into the technical, I have nothing to do with sales, that's the responsibility of sales department, or I'm only in HR, have nothing to do with product development. So it's really about
Exactly.
breaking those and having everybody feel that they're part of the whole experience, whole customer experience, that no matter what you do, you are contributing to designing and developing and selling that product and making the customer happy. It's really easier said than done, for sure. It takes a whole journey to have everyone engaged to that level.
Of course. Yes. And if you look at the process, if we think about the change management approaches and the agile management approaches, it's all embedded inside this process. Because in agile management, you make an iterative approach, and then you take feedback immediately.
Okay.
So here, after every session, after every phase, you take feedback immediately. Because you're communicating with your people all the time. You're communicating back and forth all the time. So you're continuously taking feedback, and you're continuously providing feedback as well. So this is engagement at the utmost level.
Yeah, it definitely goes with the agile processes, for sure. And taking immediate feedback always gives us a chance to have corrective measures before it's yes, and especially in such a fast-paced business environment that we are conducting business in. I think this is no longer a luxury, but a must for every organization that wants to make sure that it doesn't make any mistakes, and that their performance does not dip in this very highly competitive environment. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Hanan, if I may, please. So, who do you think is responsible for this process? Is it the HR, the line managers? Who should be responsible for this process? What do you think?
I think it should be across the board, though, I believe, because it's HR could be the catalyst for it, but I think it's more like a cultural way, because culture is about how we behave. So it has to become really embedded. This is a value, a cultural value that has to be embedded in how everybody is performing or behaving in the company, in every department. That's what I believe from my understanding of what this engagement is all about.
Exactly. I would, I would love to empower your opinion. Even as an example, actually, in human resources nowadays, you would find the performance management specialist is engaged in all of the work in HR, engaged with rewards, engaged with training and development, engaged with OD, engaged with employer branding, and even the learning and development specialist should be engaged with everything else inside the HR. So now, if I'm seeking to become a professional in and specialize in a field in human resources, I would not only learn one thing. The old school would say just focus on training modules and learning and development, and that's it. No, now I should actually know everything in human resources, and including focusing on what's new into training and so on, because now everyone is my partner. So I should be able to communicate with those partners because my work impacts everyone. So I cannot work in silos, as you say.
Yes, absolutely. And I think this being a specialist, I believe personally that this notion of being a specialist of one thing is no longer valid. It won't be really valid because you need to be able to be agile enough to move around and to fit the purpose, the higher purpose of the company, not just at that department. So this notion of this is all I do and this is what I'm specialized in, probably it's going to dissipate little by little.
Yes,
Yeah, agree.
absolutely. I would love why Sohail wrote a very interesting comment.
Yeah,
Is that HR should take the initiative, and even before engaging people, even before hiring. And actually, yes, intellectual organizations, they do that. They start engaging people emotionally and sometimes even intellectually before hiring. Let me tell you how they intellectually engage them before hiring. By
and
doing
sorry, Mahmoud, just William also added something that's relevant. I think it just probably by mistake the message came to me privately, so that's why I couldn't see it. He
yes,
said that good onboarding is critical to engagement. Totally, I totally agree. It has to start. It has to be from the start. If you get the onboarding wrong, it'll be hard to re-engage people.
absolutely, because they already started setting their own mindset on the organization, so they're going to be confused if we onboard them in a certain approach and then work is in a different way. That absolutely makes sense. Yes, so engaging them before work is actually by the advertisements we do, by the job, by the employer branding. They're emotionally engaged.
Yeah.
Through the job application, we can ask questions to bring insights from people, insightful questions. So even people who are not going to be hired, we are taking feedback from them in an indirect way. So we actually engage them intellectually, and we can make benefit by their answers in these applications in order to understand the market more, to understand how do job seekers perceive us, how do they perceive our own workplace, what do they need in the workplace, all of these. So it could be actually become a job application / survey / marketing research.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah, totally. Yes, exactly. The more insights you get, the more effective solutions you can get to these issues.
indeed. And I would say that HR should be responsible for the initiative. However, line managers are the champions as well, and team leaders and supervisors. And in the performance management system, the line managers should have a KPI on employee engagement. Part of how I measure the performance would be based on employee engagement. Usually, line managers have a financial KPI, but they don't have a people KPI. So as HR professionals and consultants, we should start highlighting this, and start, because that's how I'm going to make it tangible as well. That's how I'm going to recognize the line managers who are applying employee engagement.
Yeah, It is really an interesting model, and I think we're almost running out of time. That's how interesting it is. I didn't feel the time going. Before we give a chance, if there are any questions, just wanted to ask you, Mahmoud, if this is, um, I mean, this model is so deep, and I'm sure that it will take certain, discipline, and also it will need probably some kind of application to really have it to roll it out in a company. Is there, do you have do you have this model in a form of training, and who does it benefit, and how can it be applied? And if somebody's interested in spreading intellectual engagement in their organization, how can they learn the tool? How can they apply the model? And yeah, I'm just curious to know how could
Perfect, perfect. Yes, as very good. So as HR Revolution, we actually have a training program for this, and we can partner with other organizations in order to implement this training. So each phase in these 4 phases has its own models.
Okay.
So this is only the bird's view. Each phase has its own models and its own techniques. And during the training, the trainees, they learn about the other models and how to implement them and how to measure and quantify everything. And they also learn how to create their own models, because sometimes not the model is related to the culture of the organization. Some models could be very good theoretically, as you say, but when I come to implement it in this specific organization, with this specific culture, no, I need to make some changes in the model. I need to modify it. I need to restructure it. So a big part of the workshop is about innovation and how to tailor an engagement model that fits your own organization and your own culture and your own people.
Interesting. Well, thank you, Mahmoud. If we wanted to summarize this very insightful session about how engagement has gone beyond that social and emotional, and today is really about tapping into the intellect, tapping into the talent of your employees to make sure that you benefit from their ideas, you create that space for them so that they can contribute to sustaining your existence, to making your customers happy. I think for me that was really the key learning, and I thank you, Mahmoud, for this session. That was totally enriching, and I think all of us can benefit from it, regardless of our job or our role. And if you have any closing comments before we take a couple of questions and end this webinar of today.
Thank you, Hanan, very much for all this, and thank you for the audience as well. I would say that now our role as people leaders and even leaders in the organization and HR people and consultants, our role now is to innovate more, to think out of the box, to work together and create new solutions, to rethink everything that we already learned and knew about back in college. And we're going to feel this impact. We should experience trying new approaches, trying new things. We should have faith in that. And this is what's all about agile management as well. It's all about creating new solutions, implementing them, trying them, and then restructuring them to have a better version. And that's how we develop as human beings as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. We have a question from Suhail. How can engagement be converted to productivity? I think you touched on this, but you can just give us a summary of that question.
Yes. Very good. So let us first define productivity. Is productivity the first thing that usually comes to our mind, that productivity factory, instead of generating 100 pieces, no, I want to generate 150 pieces. This is productivity. Right. So this could be one definition of productivity. But now productivity is more related to ideas. How many ideas, new ideas? This is productivity. The efficiency of these ideas. The customer retention. This is productivity. If I'm retaining the customer for 5 years or X amount of years, this is productivity, because as a customer service agent, I'm putting, and CRM, I'm putting a lot of effort in retaining my customer. If I'm keeping the loyalty of my customer to buy several products of my brand, this is productivity as well, not only sticking to one product. So linking all of this into the KPIs, into the brainstorming sessions and the engagement module, it would make absolute sense, and it would be visible for us in the bigger picture of the organization.
Thank you, Mahmoud. William Castro has also added that the company leader needs to have the budget, quantitative and qualitative, to have to sell the products and to improve the ambiance in order to have those new products. I think that's what he meant. Do you have any comment on that? Do you agree?
Yeah, indeed, I absolutely agree. And in the end, even qualitative could be converted into quantitative eventually after the outcome is visible.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mahmoud. I think this topic needs more than just half an hour, but that was just an intro to a very interesting model, which is intellectual employee engagement, that all business leaders and HR leaders and all decision makers who are managing people need to keep in mind and need to create that conducive environment that enables just that in order to have effectiveness and also sustain their growth and their existence in this highly competitive market. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Whoever didn't manage to attend will receive the recording of this webinar. It will be also on our YouTube channel. So I want to thank you, Mahmoud, one more time. I want to thank everyone.
Thank you, Hanan. Thank you, everyone.
And see you soon in another webinar from Sustain Leadership webinar series. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.